What does it take to make yourself lucky? Is it chance encounters, confidence, or is it something else?
I'm a mathematician, and I want to find out how maths can explain luck and even make you luckier.
My name is Serna, and I'm putting friends and fellow travellers through a crash course in the maths of chance. We'll discover that what looks like luck can actually be maths in disguise.
It is tails. Yay.
All right, but be warned, you'll need to set aside your intuitions and so-called common sense. Because the maths of luck takes me to some unexpected places, like Aussie rules football, where I meet someone whose job is to try to make his team luckier using maths.
Yes!
Have I made the team?
Yeah, that's cool.
And if there's one place you want your luck to hold, it's out here. I hit the water with Australia's search and rescue experts to discover how maths can find you when you're lost at sea.
4.5 metre boat with one person on board. It's apparently taking on water.
You'll be amazed at what a little knowledge of maths can do to get luck working for you.
I'm about to take a really epic maths challenge. One that I'm a bit nervous about. But if it works, it might just blow your mind. In the heart of the lucky country, I'm going to try a really unusual way to answer an almost impossible question. Do you know how much Uluru weighs from the ground up? No? See, I think you do. And the reason why you know is really quite extraordinary. This experiment is the maths equivalent of tightrope walking without a net. I'll get to the maths itself in a minute, but first I'm going to make my own estimation of the weight of Uluru. So, how tall is it? I'm 1.65 meters. Is it 100 times taller? Maybe more.
Incredible.
So then, how long is it? How wide? And what shape? And what kind of rock? Feels like sandstone. So, what does it weigh? Here's my guess. No peeking.
What's my chance of getting this right? Probably not great. But if you help me out, we can get close to the answer.
You might think those of us without an expert's knowledge of geology would have Buckley's chance of guessing anything close to the weight of this mighty rock. I reckon it's the heaviest maths challenge I've ever attempted. And if we're going to get lucky, I need lots of people involved.
This is my guess. Have you had a go at it? I need you to, because the purpose of this is to test a mathematical phenomenon called the wisdom of the crowd, which suggests if you have a large enough crowd with a broad range of people making the estimates, then all of the errors cancel out, and what you get is something surprisingly accurate.
The more estimates I get, and the more diverse the crowd, the more accurate it should be.
Hey guys, I need some help. Do you reckon you can help me out?
Yeah.
Okay, so I need you to guess how heavy Uluru is.
I'm going to gather a load of estimations, not just from here, but from around the country.
4 billion tonnes.
2.5 million tons. 976.
There's a good reason I'm getting these whispered answers.
5 million tons.
10 billion tons.
10 billion tons. Great guess.
I'm really hoping there's some wisdom in this crowd. I'm going to add these to our experiment.
Couple of rules for wisdom of the crowd. First, it works with facts. Heights, distances, weight. Second, those making an estimation should go it alone. They can't be aware of each other's answers or work together on an answer.
Right now, no one knows how much Uluru weighs. So I'm asking Dr. Verity Normington, and the Northern Territory Geological Survey to help us out.
Verity, hi.
They'll make an expert's estimation of how much Uluru weighs based on the very latest data and technology. It will be the closest thing possible to putting Uluru itself on the scales. But how could you and I and a bunch of average punters get anything close to the estimation of expert geologists? Is this luck?
What is luck?
You might think about luck as a success or failure. That's random. There's no skill. It's just luck. But to put luck to the test, I think it's easier to start where the rules are regulated. In a sport like golf, can you measure how much luck plays a part? 18-year-old Amy Chu is a professional golfer and captain of the New South Wales women's golf team. Does she believe her game is skill or luck or a bit of both?
Wowee. Amy, that didn't look like there was any luck in that at all.
No, there wasn't.
So tell me, Amy, do you think that there's any luck in a game like golf?
Look, golf is mostly skill, but yeah, you do get your lucky days for sure.
And when you do get a lucky day, where is that coming from? Do you think it's from your head or is it maybe the golfing gods?
Yeah, mostly my head and just confidence. Confidence is a #1 thing.
Do you think that you make your own luck?
Yeah, I believe so. That comes with confidence, for sure.
Shall we give it a go?
Yeah, let's go.
Because there does seem to be one way of making people luckier, at least according to a group of German psychologists who came up with a rather intriguing experiment.
The experiment was all about trying to make people feel luckier. It's a fascinating part of psychology called priming. And that is what we're about to do this afternoon. Excuse me.
To recreate this experiment, I need 2 groups of equally clueless golfers. Then I'll need to work hard to make some feel lucky and some feel really unlucky, and see what happens next.
Right, everyone, my golfers, thank you so much for being here today. I've broken you up into 2 groups. Now you 3, you are my lucky group. Amy's going to hand over a lucky putter for you. This lucky putter is going to give you some great scores today, so good luck and have fun. Now you 3, I'm afraid you are my unlucky group. Amy's going to hand over the unlucky putter for you. I would say good luck, but do the best you can is probably all I can say at this stage. All right, shall we play? Let's do it. Lucky group, follow me, followed by the unlucky group.
What I'm doing is called priming. It's a well-understood psychological effect.
All right, lucky putter first. Oh, the bounce back, so close.
Priming is a psychological stimulus.
Yeah, well done. Next up, another lucky putter.
Such as being told you're lucky or unlucky.
Some more luck. All right, our first unlucky putter, I'm afraid. Oh, so unlucky. So unlucky.
Or being told you've been given a lucky or unlucky golf club.
Oh, what? I don't believe it. It's stuck under the bridge. Oh, wow, that's seriously unlucky. All right, follow me to the next hole. Lucky number 13. First up, our lucky team.
But can priming really influence your confidence so much it changes real outcomes? As the game progresses,
Our first unlucky person.
will the bounce of the ball and the rub of the green favour one of the teams? And while I'm at it,
Oh, no! I can't believe that. That was pretty unlucky. Random question for you, Graham. How much do you think Uluru weighs from the ground up?
A lot.
All right, so the results are in and they're very, very interesting. Now, our unlucky group, you did the same number of holes in twice as many shots as our lucky group. Now, this was actually based on a German psychology experiment that showed that priming can actually make people feel lucky. Now, Amy, do you see yourself in this game?
Yeah, for sure.
So our group shouldn't feel bad?
Yeah, don't worry about it. Like, it happens to the best of us, so you're completely normal. It's all good.
There you go. So consider yourself primed.
The original study showed a 35% improvement. My priming was a bit too successful, but it makes the same point.
Priming is a pretty well-known part of psychology, where a stimulus, like being told that you're lucky or unlucky, can change the way that you respond by either giving you confidence or chipping away at it. And we do seem to be pretty susceptible.
But at the end of the day, confidence can be fleeting. For luck to last, you want to build on something durable, even eternal. I believe that thing is maths. I know what you're thinking. Now we're getting to the really hard maths bit. It's not quite like that, but even when something seems simple, say the chances of two people sharing a birthday, the maths can run counter to our human intuition. I'm here at the Clavelli Bowls Club, a rather pleasant and sedate place on the edge of the ocean, where my mathematician friend Sophie is celebrating a birthday.
Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Okay, guys, I've got a maths question for you. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. How many people do you think you need to gather to get a 50% chance of any two people in that group sharing the same birthday?
50%? That's really high.
A couple of hundred, maybe?
Maybe 150? Yeah.
150, a couple of hundred? For now, let's just assume that everyone's birthdays are spread over the year equally, and we're not in a leap year.
366 people would guarantee you'd get a match. One for every day of the year, plus one to be sure. So, 50-50 chance, you might expect half? 183? That's a big crowd.
So how many is it, Sophie? 23.
Surely not. No way.
They don't believe us, though.
They don't.
Shall we show them?
Yes.
Let's go.
So we're going to gather 23 people on the bowling green right now.
Everyone, can you gather around, please? I need 23 people for a little bit of a maths experiment. Are you in? Yeah. Okay, all right. So we're going to do a little bit of a birthday speed dating. I want you to go around and check whether the next person, any person, has the same birthday as you. You ready? Yeah. Let's go. Okay, July, anyone?
With 23 people, that's a huge number of pairs. I have 22 possible pairs in this group.
July, anyone? July?
And we aren't just looking for the chances that my birthday matches with someone else's, but the chance that there's a pair in the bigger group.
July the 5th? No. July? No. July the 5th? Probably, yeah, February. The chances of two people having the same birthday is a bit bigger than your intuition, but the maths is undeniable.
What month are you?
I'm February. When are you?
I'm February.
What date?
13th.
Me too. No.
Do we have a match?
We have a match.
Oh, we have a match, everyone! Yay! Are you surprised?
Yes.
We are, because we're from the same club.
Yeah.
And you didn't even know.
No.
Well, there you go.
That's lucky.
It may be lucky, but it's also definitely maths. Who wants cake?
This is proper maths. And if it messes with your head, I guarantee in a couple of minutes it'll make complete sense. We just need to come at the birthday problem from the other side.
Right, so why is it 23 people? Let's imagine a scenario where out of our 23 party people that no one shares a birthday, right? So, Soph, it's your birthday today.
It is.
What is the probability that I don't have the same birthday as you today?
Okay, so I've already taken today, but there are 364 other days of the year where you can have your birthday and it won't be the same as my birthday. So it's 364 divided by 365.
364 out of 365 is well over 99% chance of two people not sharing a birthday. And we're just getting started.
Right, so what if we add Holly to the mix? Holly can't have the same birthday as you or me, which means that she has 363 chances out of the 365.
That's right.
Now, if we do this for everyone here, all 23 people, we follow the same pattern. The last number we get is 343 divided by 365.
By itself, 343 out of 365 is almost 94% chance. But
in probability, when we're talking about all of these things happening at the same time, we actually just need to multiply those together. So we take all of our different expressions, multiply them together, and what does that equal, Lily?
And when calculating the probability of all 23 birthdays being different, something unexpected happens.
So the probability of no one sharing the same birthday out of a group of 23 people is 0.4995, which is just less than 50%.
So that's the probability of no one in this group of 23 sharing the same birthday, which means the probability of someone sharing the same birthday in this group of 23 is just over 50%, which is actually pretty huge.
And it's pretty surprising.
Yeah, wow.
Anyway, enough maths. Let's go bowling.
And the bigger the group, the bigger the probability. With just 86 people, it's almost 100%.
What I love about the birthday problem is that it's one of those examples in maths where it really challenges your intuition and it helps you think more rigorously.
We humans love a shortcut, and we make estimations all the time, based on a feeling that they're about right. But this quick answer that feels right emotionally can be wrong. What maths does best is strip out emotion from probability and expose the system at work. Because if you bet on emotion, you can lose big. In my mission to lift the lid on luck, I've come to Sydney's Luna Park to share the story of one of the great probability pitfalls. It starts with a casino tale a century old.
It's something called the Montecarlo Fallacy, and it came about after a game of roulette played in the famous Monte Carlo casino back in 1913 when a ball landed on black 26 times in a row. 26 times! How would you bet next? Red or black?
The gamblers that night in Monte Carlo made a terrible mistake. And it started with what's called the probability of independent events.
Step right up, step right up. Do you want to improve your luck? Ladies and gentlemen, I can improve your luck. Improve your luck, sir? Would you like to improve your luck? How would you like to win? Now, how would you like to improve your luck?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. First question for you. If I have a coin, what is the probability that I will get a heads if I toss this cup?
50-50.
50-50. All right, do we want to take guesses what we're going to get?
Heads.
Heads? Okay. Tails. One tails, majority heads. I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to land it. It is tails. Very good. We're going to write that down. Okay, pretty much all heads except one tails. It is heads. Yeah. Okay, let's guess. What do you think?
Tails.
Heads.
Why did you guess tails?
I don't know, because I just think we have to get tails, like, sometime.
All right, it is tails.
Oh!
Good. Yay. All right.
The coin's fair dinkum, and I'm tossing it for a reason. Each head or tail is an independent event, but intuition sometimes says otherwise.
All right. You all guessed heads. It is tails. Tails again. Now, there was 5 tails in a row. What do you think is going to be next?
I think it's about time for a heads.
About time for a heads?
Heads.
Heads.
If you're going to pick heads, it'll be a higher odds, like 3/4,
Yes.
75-80%.
Because
You've got so many tails, sooner or later it's going to change.
would it surprise you if I told you that every time you toss a coin, The chances of getting heads or tails is always 50-50.
That's a good point. But if you get a lot of tails in a row, you're more inclined to pick heads.
And there's the problem. Whether a coin lands heads or tails is completely independent of what happens before or after. A head can be followed by another head, or by a tail, or by a string of tails. But we humans like to see patterns everywhere.
When we hear that a coin toss carries 50-50 odds, we'd expect to see those odds represented in a group of coin flips. But, and here's the thing, the coin doesn't remember. Each time it's tossed, it still stands a 50% chance of landing on heads or tails. It doesn't matter what happened before.
Mistaking independent events for dependent or conditional events is called the gambler's fallacy. And it's what happened around the roulette table back in 1913.
Remember the story I told you about the Montecarlo casino? There had been 26 blacks in a row. How would you have bet?
Gamblers on that August night noticed the unusual run of black and started to bet on red. When the black run continued, they chased their losses, betting more and more until millions of francs were sunk in a single night. It was a legendary gambling fail. And that's why it came to be known as the Montecarlo or gambler's fallacy. And the gambler's fallacy is cruelly described as a tax on those who failed maths. Because when it comes to games of chance, maths is the ace in the pack. And there is one casino game where mathematical strategy can make you luckier. So Lil and Marianne are maths buddies, not card experts. And they're about to discover that maths can help them win at blackjack.
Okay, so as mathematicians, you might appreciate this. This is the mathematics behind blackjack. This isn't card counting. This strategy will tell you exactly what to do in every eventuality if you're going to try to beat the dealer.
Along one axis are all the hands a player can be dealt. Along the other is the dealer's card. The best mathematical bet in each of these hundreds of possible combinations has evolved over millions of hands of blackjack. Not by professional gamblers, but by mathematicians. Let's see how it goes.
Right, place your bets.
As the dealer, I have one card showing, a 7.
Marianne, hit or stand?
Oh, 14.
Marianne's cards add up to 14. According to the strategy, with a dealer showing a 7, she should take a card.
I'm going to hit. Nice.
That makes 20. Anything above 17, you should stand.
20. I'm going to stay.
Lil, with cards also at 14,
I will hit.
Lil takes one more card.
Now I'll stand.
And stands on 19.
So I have an ace and a 6, and you have a 7, so hit me.
All right.
A 17. I'll stand.
Playing the strategy has given them all strong hands.
12. It's not going to beat anyone.
Now the dealer needs some luck.
15. I think I'm going to keep going. I think I'm bust. You'll win. How much do I owe you?
Thank you.
In fact, while this strategy can reduce the advantage of the house, casino blackjack is still tilted in favour of the casino.
Nevertheless, this blackjack strategy has been shown to decrease the dealer's advantage from as much as 5% to as little as 0.5%. A measurable decrease of luck in a complex game thanks to mathematics and probability. So can a mathematical strategy help you win a game that's a lot more complex than blackjack? There is a game that's highly unpredictable, but which is starting to adopt maths and data to boost the chance of a win against the odds. Aussie rules football.
So in this lot, Finlayson's done 90 metres of sprinting, and Reedy's done 70.
What was Jeremy Cameron's total distance?
Almost 2.3, now the average is 1.9.
Thank you.
Australia's own code of football seems to take mathematics very seriously. I'm going to meet one of the key team members of the Greater Western Sydney Giants. It's not the captain, it's not the full forward, it's not even the coach.
David Joyce is the Giants' head of athletic performance. And he's in charge of keeping all these bodies fit and game ready. From where I'm standing, he's doing a fine job. So can crunching numbers really help you win? Or is it all down to the bounce of the ball?
David, how does mathematics help you win a game of AFL?
To win a game of footy, you need to have your best players on the park. Sometimes injuries are unavoidable, but we try and risk mitigate, and data absolutely and mathematics absolutely helps with that. But also, certainly the coaches use it a lot to be able to understand the best way to line up against a team.
How do you collect the data?
So if we're looking at GPS, so our running metrics, we'll use a GPS device here. So it's a tiny little device that you put in the back of the jumper. It sits between the shoulder blades because that's a nice stable position. We get information live, so we can be a little bit more forensic about the quality and the quantity of the session and the trends of that session over time.
By collecting and monitoring training data for potential injuries, the bad luck of losing a key player can be minimised. Apparently, the system is incredibly accurate, but I'm not going to take his word for it.
You're going to get me to run around?
Yep, you're going to see how far and how fast. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to start on the goal line. You're going to run out to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the ball, and if I give it to you on this hand, you're going to go around that course that way. If I give it to you on this hand, you're going to go around the course that way.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right.
Push, push. And you got to kick a goal. Yes. What we'll do here, Lil, is we'll go this way and we're going to see if you're faster going anti-clockwise than you are clockwise.
All right, let's go.
Let's go. You're going to finish with a goal? Oh, yes, look at that. Natural.
Yeah. Have I made the team?
Absolutely. Let's go and have a look at the numbers.
All right, I'm a little bit nervous.
So yeah, you did 204 metres you did there.
Yep.
Top speed of 17, just under 17 k's an hour.
Any tips from the data of what I can do?
The first one, you got up to 16.2 kilometres an hour.
Yep.
And the second one, you got up to 16.9.
Faster going anti-clockwise. We didn't get into sprint territory there, which is 23 kilometres an hour.
I think I'll stick to maths maybe.
According to David, accurate data about speed and distance is important for getting the best out of your players for games.
Well, that was great fun, and I'm no performance athlete. But I wonder if collecting great data and using it to make your team luckier are two different things.
Time to find out. The Greater Western Sydney Giants are about to take on the Hawks of Hawthorn, who've won 3 AFL premierships in 5 years and are the favourites to win tonight.
As you can see, the crowds are really starting to build and the atmosphere is buzzing. The data has already gone into preparing the players, but will it influence the outcome of the game?
The fans might care less about the maths, but behind the scenes, David Joyce certainly does.
To what extent do you think the data influences the tactics and strategy on game day?
Oh, it's critical for us. It's absolutely critical. If we're talking about GPS, I'm particularly interested in how much sprinting they've done. We think that that may be a risk factor for soft tissue injuries, so we might just need to look after them at half-time or get them an extra massage or things like that.
So if you sprint, you get more massages?
Yeah, so the more you sprint, the more you're rewarded, absolutely.
Sounds nice. What other data is available in terms of influencing the game today?
Up in the box, our coaches have got a huge raft of computers looking at numbers of how many kicks, marks, handballs, and drilling down into that as well, so that they look at the football side of things and I look at the athletic performance side of things. And so all the data streams we're getting is sort of melding the two and hopefully having an influence on the outcome.
And how do you feel about this game today?
Yeah, I think we're really, really confident, but Hawthorn are a big opposition, so hopefully we can run them off their feet.
What does the data say?
I think it's going to be 50-50.
All right, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
One last question for you, and it's pretty random. How much do you think Uluru weighs from the ground to the top?
Oh, great question.
So by using GPS data during the game to keep an eye on things like sprinting, David's trying to prevent injuries. And with a fully fit team, the Giants might get lucky in tonight's game. Then there's even more data used by coaches during the game to try and gain a tactical advantage.
While the crowd is watching the game, every action is being scraped for data upstairs.
Every game of AFL is picked apart in minute detail by a team of specialist data harvesters.
Right, Aiden, how many data points do you collect during a game?
So you can collect up to about 4,000, data points every game. So that involves 100 different stats.
And it's fast-paced, right?
It is sub-second the data from when we call it to when it's available.
Fantastic. Do you think it's getting even bigger and bigger, data within AFL?
Oh, definitely. With GPS coming in as well, we're going to be able to plot exactly where that player was, how fast they're going. So it's really going to go to a next level if that's possible from what we are now.
It sounds like a lot, 4,000 data points. But I wonder, with 36 players running in every direction on football fields that are the biggest in the world, up to 17,000 square metres, then add the crazy bounce of the ball, even with GPS coming on, I wonder if 4,000 points of data is really enough to capture this chaos and give Maths a chance to win the game.
Numbers everywhere inside 50. He chips, not the required 15. Hopper thought he had the mark. Now Smith kicks down the wing, and the Giants win it.
The Giants have won. So, has Maths been the game-winning influence I thought I'd find? They're taking lots of data, but can it make useful predictions about this complex game with so many variables? I'm honestly not sure. Not yet. But there are other places where understanding probability can help you do something no human could achieve on their own. In the real world, human beings connect with one another using ancient and species-defining systems of coded messages. We call this language. But as much as language connects, it also divides. Different languages can seem incomprehensible and bewildering. Translating between them is a task for scholars, isn't it?
Maths can also do something quite surprising. It can help translate one language into another. What does translation have to do with maths? Let me show you.
This is the Mitchell Library in Sydney. It's home to millions of books and manuscripts, as well as translations made by human experts between scores of languages. And it's translations which form the heart of what's called statistical machine translation. It was conceived almost 70 years ago. So how does it work?
Here's an old favourite, the Three Musketeers, which has the famous line, all for one, one for all. But of course, that's an English translation of the French original, which says, tous pour un pour tous. these two sentences mean the same thing, and statistical machine translation doesn't need to understand either language, just that if this sentence comes up, it probably means this.
This system is different because it isn't learning a language, and it doesn't translate word for word. This system treats translations as data. What it does is analyze existing translations for matching phrases or even sentences, looking for the most probable match. And it's doing it in bulk.
What the maths does is analyse billions and billions of sentences of translation to build a statistical engine that tells you if a sentence says this, it probably means this. You get the idea.
These systems are consistently getting more and more accurate. And this one should theoretically be a dab hand when it comes to translating idioms. These common phrases like dab hand are not deducible from a translation of the individual words. But let's test it.
There's a French idiom that says c'est du gâteau, which has the meaning it's easy, but the literal translation is it's some cake. It gets translated accurately though on Google to it's a piece of cake, which is the English equivalent. Now, let's try an Australian idiom. To spit the dummy, which of course means to throw a tantrum. It gets translated to cracher le mannequin, which literally means to spit the shop mannequin. Not quite there. See, it's not bad, but it's not perfect either.
You couldn't pass yourself off as French with a phone and fast internet. Nevertheless, rather than attempting to teach computers a language, this system based on numbers and probability is forging new ground. The system is getting better the more translations it analyses. And it seems to have found previously unknown patterns common to multiple languages that help it achieve even more translations. It's digital tools like these that are becoming ever more indispensable. And I find it fascinating that so many are based on a good understanding of maths and probability. This is Fremantle, almost as far west as you can go on the Australian mainland. I've come looking for a challenge where the scale and the complexity are vast, and where maths might save you from the worst luck of all. And I think I've found it. The seas around Australia are some of the wildest and most remote in the world. Strong winds, huge waves. You wouldn't want to fall overboard here. And if you did, you'd want the best chance of being found. This is the Centre of Rescue Coordination for AMSA, the Australian Maritime Safety Authority. AMSA attend almost 8,000 incidents a year, everything from plane crashes to lost fishermen.
Yes, hello, this is Carl from Search and Rescue. The beacon in that aircraft is active at the moment.
Across a vast search and rescue zone, 1/10 of the surface of the planet, they're finding people.
Cindy, I've just had a call from a concerned member of the public in regards to an incident involving a 4.5 metre half cabin vessel, one person on board. The vessel has had electrical problems, broken down, and the pumps stopped working and it started taking on some water. Carl, can you have a look at the status of the Challenger jet there in Perth, please?
Yeah, sure. Good morning, this is Chris from the RCT, just checking that you guys are online, checking availability, and get the crew standby ready to go.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I'll give you information further of the tasking. Cheers. Bye.
AMSA uses very clever maths to do something extraordinary. In the last few years, they've cut search areas in half, which gives them the best chance of making a quick and successful rescue. I'm going to find out how. Being lost at sea is critically different from being lost on land. A vehicle that breaks down on land stops moving. It stays where it is. In the ocean, it can sink or it can drift.
So where are we, Bill?
In the Indian Ocean, just about 4 miles southwest of Rottnest.
And what can happen out here?
Well, we've had plenty of opportunities to come looking for boats out here that have got lost.
Bill and Brian are part of the rescue team.
What's the scenario today?
Well, there's a boat that's been reported missing. It went out fishing out about 4 miles north of Rottnest in this area, so that's where we are here. And then we just use information about drift from this point and establish a search pattern from here.
Drift can be estimated using huge volumes of existing data. The drift pattern for this sea rescue is being modelled back at headquarters in Canberra. Craig Longmuir is Response Centre Chief.
This is the search area that we're actually going to go and search. So what we've got there is we drifted 3 targets. Yep, so we've got red, which is person in the water. You've then got green, which is your fully loaded bait box, and the magenta targets are the vessel itself.
The 3 simulated targets drift differently owing to different exposures to the current and the wind. They search for all 3 targets, but saving human life is the #1 goal.
So maths is integral to what we do. What we're trying to model is the most complex interface between the 2 biggest fluid environments that there are, the atmosphere and the ocean surface.
So where do they get that information to make the model as accurate as possible?
G'day Lily, Craig here.
Hi, Craig. How do you determine the search area? Do you use historical data and a little bit of current marine data, is that right?
Yeah, so
The drift model in itself is a
pretty complex modelling program.
So it uses bathymetric data, so that's the nature of the seabed.
It uses ocean current data.
So we actually get that information from the Bureau Met
and CSIRO.
So it's basically a probability
issue for us.
40,000 points of data about tides, winds, seabeds and the very latest satellite weather go into modelling the area most likely to contain the survivor. It's an area of about 80 square nautical miles, and the search is underway.
I'm left 2 degrees, 6 miles. Anything visual yet?
Nothing visual.
So this is what we know so far. A call came in about 2 hours ago, reporting a boat that's been missing for up to 8 hours. Its last seen position was here, and the drift model suggests that the search area for the missing person should be somewhere around here.
But the chances of surviving falls with every hour that passes. So every hour they make 30 fresh calculations for each of these 40,000 data points. That's 1.2 million points of data crunched every hour. And with no sign yet of the survivor, there's one more step they take to sharpen their model.
So the computer models that we use are based on ocean current data. Ocean current data is basically an average of what that surface of the ocean is doing over a period of time. So errors do creep into that because it's an average.
Now, to narrow the search area enough to find a person floating somewhere in the Indian Ocean, AMSA needs high-resolution local information.
And the team has the perfect bit of kit to help sharpen their model.
Probably want to put a couple of SLDMBs in as well, just to validate the drift pattern.
Will you give some positions for that, or just...
I'll put them in the system now.
All right, no worries.
Good to go, Stu.
SLDMB is an acronym for Self-Locating Data Marker Buoy.
Roger, clear to open the door. Roger, opening door.
They're being deployed by air. Right over the site where the boat was last known to be. These floating GPS units mimic the drift of a survivor in the water. This real-time ocean data is used to test the drift model. And any minute, new information will arrive via satellite to Canberra.
So what happens when new information comes in that doesn't fit your model? Hi again, Craig. How do you use the information from those buoys to inform the search now?
Yeah, the buoys themselves are critical to our evaluation of the integrity of our search
area, so it truths the model
for us. So if it agrees with the model, then we're very happy. But the nature of them is that sometimes they don't always agree.
So then we'll have to use Bayesian theory
to actually integrate that and do the drift modelling itself. So this is where we've got to make a decision.
At the heart of the day's rescue operation is a sophisticated piece of maths 300 years old.
The rescue team is about to deploy one of my favourite mathematical theorems. Bayes' theorem was developed by English vicar Thomas Bayes in the 18th century. And although his work wasn't published during his lifetime, and we're not even sure that this is a picture of him, Bayes' theorem has become hugely important as a way to assess evidence in all kinds of situations.
Bayes' theorem helps you combine what you already know with new sources of information so that you can choose the most likely outcome. The mathematics can be complex, but Bayes' theorem also has a certain intuitive quality. Let's say I left my keys in this dark room. In a sense, the rescue team are also searching in the dark. They are aware of the layout, like I am, and have good information as to the general area where what we seek might be found.
Now, I know the broad layout of the room, and also that I usually leave my keys in my bag on the coffee table.
It's not there, so I need to expand my search.
Now, Bayes' theorem suggests that there are plenty of places where I don't need to look, like the fireplace, the piano stool, or the light fitting. They're all very unlikely. I can discount them and hone in on more likely places like the couch. Aha!
However, my keys are not there. This changes the search.
Now, knowing me and knowing Bayes' theorem, the next likely place that the keys might be are in something that I've been wearing quite recently.
I wasn't expecting to see someone in the room. This is new information. Maybe, in fact, I left the keys in the door and an intruder has broken in.
Let's apply Bayes' theorem and examine the probabilities. I reckon in the past 10 years I've only ever left the keys in the door 6 times.
Let's say that's 6 times in 10 years, or about 1 in 600. Now, annual burglaries in my suburb run at about 300 in 100,000, or 1 in 333. So the chance of those very unlikely things both happening at the same time is very remote. Add to that, the room is dark, so visual information may be unreliable. Alternatively, it's a hat stand with a coat on it.
Working with new information can either help solve a problem or hinder the investigation. It's a bit like detective work, and that's Bayes' theorem.
It's a dynamic approach to probability and the key to using new information to unlock new insights. Back in the Indian Ocean, the survivor is still missing. But with new information combined with Bayes' theorem, everything may be about to change.
Looking at the initial data that's come through from the boys, it actually on this occasion indicates that there's more of a flow to the east, whereas our initial computer model put it more to the southwest. So our search asset's already heading out there. We'll adjust that search area and extend it further to the east to capture the extra area that we believe that the target might have drifted into.
Now, the initial search area was here, but new information has come in from the data boys, and Craig and the Canberra team have used this new information to refine the model and update the search area to here.
Using Bayes' theorem, AMSA combined the different sets of data and created a new area for the search and rescue.
Roger. Looks like a small life jacket or person in the water. Maintain heading 4 miles.
Maintain heading 4 miles.
I think we may have found him. Ah, come on, Bob. Come on, Bob. He's heavy. Ah, come on, mate. There we go. Go. That's saved your life. How do you feel? Good.
Good day, Lily. Yeah, I understand from our search aircraft you've had some success.
We've found Bob. Great news.
What's the condition of the survivor?
He is in excellent condition. He tells me that he's very grateful for Max for saving his life.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Cheers now.
Craig, before you go, quick question. How much do you think Uluru weighs from the ground up?
Twice half its weight.
I think we have a lot to thank Reverend Bays for, because working with the sort of complexities that I've seen today can undoubtedly save lives. It's a powerful example how understanding probability, the laws of chance, make a huge difference in the real world. The survival rate now runs at 99% for rescues attended by the agency, who've worked hard to bring a little luck to those lost at sea. Nevertheless, they urge boaties to be properly prepared for emergencies. From what I've seen today, to really get lucky when you need it requires an understanding of clever maths, using real-world data, and the right technology. Earlier in the film, I introduced a supersized maths problem. How heavy is this rock? The reason it's such an interesting and revealing maths problem is that I want to solve it using a technique called the wisdom of the crowd. It's such a difficult problem because it has so many variables. The height, the width, the circumference, the density of the rock. My guess? 500 million tons. Now, the idea of using a crowd is that the errors brought by the individuals in that crowd, what we mathematicians like to call noise, should get cancelled out, and what emerges is an accurate answer. But I feel like I'm going to need tons of luck to have this work. Here's all the guesses I've collected on my journey. People have guessed as little as 7 tons and as much as hundreds of billions of tons. To arrive at the wisdom of the crowd, we take all of these answers and generate the mean, or the average, by adding the guesses together and dividing by the number of guesses. The chances of them averaging out to anything accurate seems remote. Nevertheless, this is the answer that I have. This is the wisdom of the crowd. What I need now is the real answer. To get the true weight of Uluru, I've asked the aptly named Dr. Verity Normington from the Northern Territory Geology Survey to run the serious numbers. Verity, I have the wisdom of the crowd. You have the real answer. Question is, how did you calculate it?
At the Northern Territory Geological Survey, we looked at the rock, we looked at the size of it, the density of the rock itself, did the best calculations we could, and then we looked at a satellite imagery and created a 3D model using that satellite imagery to create the best estimate of the surface of the rock, and then calculated the mass from that.
So you're pretty confident in your answer?
Yeah, this is the best estimate that we can come up with without physically measuring the rock itself.
All right, are you ready?
I'm super ready.
I have butterflies in my stomach. Shall we compare the answers?
Yep, let's do it.
All right.
Ready?
Ready, set, go. Holy moly! That is so close!
It's very close.
That is unbelievable. My wisdom of the crowd answer of 1.6 billion tonnes is within 15% of Verity's expert calculation of 1.425 billion tonnes. Wisdom of the crowd.
Yes.
It's extraordinary. Wisdom of the crowd is a subject of serious study. It's now being used in diagnosing skin cancer, assessing evacuation from a volcano, even evaluating nuclear safety. By canvassing a diversity of people and averaging their answers, we've brought a breadth of perspective to the problem and got lucky.
It actually worked. We got over 100 guesses to a question so difficult that the answer only existed recently. That's the wisdom of the crowd.
So perhaps what we think of as luck is really just maths waiting to happen. And when you mix data and technology and people with maths, extraordinary truths can be revealed.
I've never seen anything like it. Instead of living in just one part of the brain, each memory is a network of connections between different areas for sight, hearing, smell, touch and emotion. An astonishing memory map, reflecting some of the most important people in my life.